Hey, how's it going guys, it's Nate here. And Skyrim is a great big place, loaded with a colorful cast of characters and strange locations to explore. In fact, the game has so many of these that after 6 years and 4 bloody re-releases, some of the game's references, allusions, and Easter eggs may have eluded some of us. So it is with that in mind that we will be taking another look at 10 tiny details you may still have missed in The Elder Scrolls V. Part 13! My god, just imagine how prepared we are for random games of Skyrim trivia. Starting off, the quest, Before the Storm, begins immediately after the player flees Helgen. In it, your objective is to make your way to Whiterun and inform Jarl Bolgrif of the recent dragon attack. As you do this while still in his court, the Jarl will instruct Irileth, his housecarl, to gather some local guards and send them to protect the nearby town of Riverwood. Irileth will agree and begin to leave Dragon's Reach to carry out these orders. Now, after dispatching Irileth, the Jarl will still have quite a bit to say to you. But, if you choose to simply blow him off and follow the housecarl instead, she'll actually go through with everything Bolgrif asked. She'll make her way down to the guard barracks, deliver a small speech to some men, and proceed to send them off, where all the guards she asked will physically make the journey from Whiterun to Riverwood, where their characters will remain for the rest of the game. This was one of those moments that really made the game feel more alive to me when I first found out about it. Now, admittedly, this occurs very early on in game, so at this point Bethesda's really trying to grab the player's attention, and unfortunately it's a bit of an outlier. Next, Miraak was the name of the first Dragonborn, and serves as the primary antagonist in the Dragonborn DLC expansion. He's currently trapped in Apocrypha, the Daedric god Hermaeus Mora's Plane of Oblivion. When you first encounter him, Miraak will mock the player for, quote, doing little beyond killing a few dragons.
You are Dragonborn. I can feel it. And yet, you have done little beyond killing a few dragons.
However, if the player has completed the quest Dragon Slayer and killed Alduin in Skyrim's main questline, this line of dialogue will actually change ever so slightly, where instead, Miraak will briefly praise the player, before returning to his narcissistic tendencies.
You are Dragonborn. I can feel it. And yet... So you have slain Alduin. Well done. I could have slain him myself back when I walked the earth. But I chose a different path.
Coming in at number 3, Arendelle is an Altmeri necromancer held up in Yngvild, an ancient Nordic ruin. But this elf is especially twisted, even for someone of his talents. You see, in a series of journals you can find throughout his crypts, Arendelle admits to sexually abusing many of the tomb's female Trogir, and recently killed nearby women. He's probably one of the most disturbing characters you'll ever come across, and when you first encounter him, if the Dragonborn is a male, he'll say the following.
What? An intruder? Attack, my lovelies!
Now, this comes off as pretty creepy. But, if the player is a female, his dialogue will be altered to instead say this.
Ah, another plaything for my collection.
All the more reason to quickly put an end to this very creepy individual. Fourth on our list, while we're still on the topic of gender, Ancient Nord armor is among my favorite in the game. Actually, that's not true, I rarely use it. But it still looks kinda nice, and is commonly seen on Trogir and the spirits of dead Nords. It's a heavy armor that appears to be a combination of hides, furs, and some metals. But depending on the character's gender, its helmet will entirely change appearances. For males, the helmet will have 2 cow or ox horns protruding from it pointed downward, very similar to that of the Iron Helmet. But on female characters, the helmet will instead change to have 2 deer or stag antlers pointed upward. The reasoning for this symbolism isn't entirely obvious. However, it's a nice subtle touch. At number 5, the Soul Cairn is a very harsh place indeed. It's the barren land that those unfortunate enough to become soul-trapped will ultimately spend eternity in, being tormented by the horrors of this plane of oblivion. You're given the chance to visit the Soul Cairn in the Dawnguard questline, to meet with the vampiric mother of Serena. As far as you're ever told, you and this mysterious individual are the only physical, non-ghost, beings to ever set foot in this strange world. Alas, a depressing sight implies the opposite. East of the Reaper's lair in the cairn, carefully hidden and tucked away behind some rocks, lies a skeleton. Judging by his horned ancient Nordic helmet, we can conclude that this was a male adventurer from long ago. Next to his remains is a note, which reads the following. Quote, "They warned me not to go through that portal. What did I have to be scared of? I'd been adventuring for years and never seen nothing I couldn't wallop. But this place. Ain't nothing living here, just dead things up and about when they should be in the ground. I can hear their bones scratching at the rocks, and knocking together when they walk. If I get home, I'll hang up my sword and never go out again. As we can all tell, unfortunately this warrior never did make it home. For our 6th spot, the Dwemer ruins of Aftland are also home to a bit of their own tragic tale. Here, a small expedition led by an Imperial named Sola attempted to excavate the location, in search of something. But their journey took a horrific turn, and ultimately most of them were killed by surprising Falmer inhabitants. However, one survivor, a Skooma withdrawn Khajiit named Jadar, still survives, held up in a small corridor with the corpse of his brother. Unfortunately, due to his unsatisfied Skooma addiction, our feline friend has gone mad and will attack on sight. But before he pounces, he may just utter the following phrase.
What? Who is this, brother? Another of the smooth skins looking for food? But this one wasn't trapped with us. You picked a bad time to get lost, friend.
That term, smooth skin, as many of you probably already know, is a reference to Bethesda's Fallout franchise. It was a name irradiated ghosts would refer to normal humans by, as ghouls had pretty awful skin themselves. 7th, each word wall in the game contains a small paragraph written in the language of the ancient dragons. When translated into English, you'll find that all of these word walls are actually eulogies to heroic men and women who have died, almost acting as tombstones. Interestingly enough though, word walls relevant to the shout Animal Allegiance, which allows nearby animals to aid the Dragonborn in combat, are a bit different. You see, Animal Allegiance word walls still contain eulogies, but instead, they're directed towards animals who have died in valiant ways. Pets, if you will. For instance, the first of the shout's word walls reads the following, quote, "This stone commemorates the horse Saawariya, the most courageous animal to ever charge the snowy battlefield, and give his soul for his lord." As long as we don't get any pet cemetery nonsense, this is all fairly adorable. Next, one random encounter the player may happen upon involves an NPC by the name of Madwoman approaching the player. She's a devout follower of Sheogorath, and will ramble some incoherent sentences to the Dragonborn, often demanding that you use Sheogorath's staff, the Wabbajack, on her. Yet should she suffer a unfortunate fate, you'll be able to loot her corpse, where you'll strangely find a set of tongs. Now this seems like a rather random item to carry, but it's actually a reference to a quest in the Elder Scrolls IV's Shivering Isle DLC, where the player would have to gather tongs and calipers are basically over-glorified tongs, for a man living in Sheogorath's realm, who hoped to use them to build a flying machine. But calipers aren't featured in Skyrim, and Bethesda had to make do with what they could. Perhaps this woman took up the same task. 9th on our list, I literally just said that Bethesda didn't feature calipers in Skyrim. Well, the developers seem to be humorously self-aware of this fact, as if you head over to Riften's court and speak to Wylandria, the boss mermage, you can have the following conversation.
Draw the harmonic energy into the reagent, or allow it to generate its own field. Calipers? That's utterly ridiculous. Maybe long ago you could just find calipers in every household across Tamriel, but not anymore. Hold on, you've given me a brilliant idea. Just as calipers hold materials in place, a soul siphon can hold magic fields in place. Genius! And I'm sure you've completely worked out how to counteract complete dimensional collapse, right?
This is actually one of the most comedic conversations you can have. Essentially, you just go back and forth proposing random ideas that seem to be the solution to all of this woman's problems. I encourage you to try it out. And finally, last on our list, northwest of Helyarkin Hall, you can find quite a strange sight. A human skeleton lying inside that of a mammoth skeleton. Now this is fairly hidden away, especially if you have any Flora mods, and it's been the subject of considerable debate online. When I first heard of this, I assumed it was a simple reference to Star Wars Episode 5, where Luke and Han were forced to take shelter from the cold inside of the corpse of a freshly killed, weird space animal thing. Alas, my hypothesis sort of begins to fall apart when you look at what Bethesda officially named this location in the Skyrim game guide, referring to it as, quote, swallowed skeleton. So, make of that information what you will. And while we're still pondering that last one, we're gonna wrap up. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. Which of these was your favorite? And what tiny references, allusions, or Easter eggs have you come across that you think everyone else might not have? Leave a comment down below. I keep thinking I'm gonna run out of things to put in these lists, but generally what ends up happening is as I'm working on other Skyrim related lists and doing research for those, I come across these small facts, if you will, that I can't really fit in anywhere else. So that's what composes these videos, in case you were wondering. But again, thanks for watching. Links will be in the description down below. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tinder, Snapchat, all of that good stuff can be found down there. If you enjoyed the video, like ratings are as always very much appreciated, and hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everyone.